Hello everyone, I am Tringa Hasbahta. I am an architect at the OUD Architects and also at the Kosovo Architecture Foundation. We are an office that has been established in 2012 in Pristina, which is the capital city of Kosovo. We have started our first commission in 2013, so I will present to you a few projects. All of them are 9 projects that are currently unbuilt. The last 2 will be ones that will be built later in the upcoming year. The first one, maybe, or just a forward before, all of our projects are built in Pristina, which is basically also the point of our studio is to introduce new and quality architecture in the city. Pristina lacks a lot of good architecture due to the post-war and the conflict that we had in the previous years. So our aim is really to introduce new studios that have fresh and upcoming ideas and bring them into our city. We don't really particularly have a style of architecture in our city because we have a cluster of everything. So everything and everyone is welcome basically to create a project here. Sorry. Can you move to the next slide? Okay, so yesterday Niels Fischer from Zaha Hadid Architects maybe presented this project, but it's the Central Mosque of Pristina in the capital city. It is a collaboration that we did with Zaha Hadid Architects, and unfortunately this project was not realized because it didn't win the competition. Another project was chosen for it. So I will not explain it further since it was mentioned yesterday. Can you move, please? So the second project is the Jewish Heritage Center, Interfaith Center in Kosovo. We don't really have a big Jewish community in Kosovo, but they only had one small museum for all of their books and everything that they used also as reading rooms. So the mayor decided that they wanted to relocate this Jewish museum into the Ethnographic Museum of Kosovo. So this was a collaboration with the Ron Arad Architects, and he did this concept sketch of the fence around the existing condition because we were not allowed to use the existing buildings because since they were in good condition, we could only just move in the stuff that was needed inside those buildings. But the project was mainly the courtyard and the surrounding fence of the building. So the architect wanted to create this interwoven pattern made out of cast concrete, sort of to resemble the interfaith concept where they will house the books of the library, and also they wanted to incorporate books from other religions as well. So it was not supposed just to be for the Jewish community, but also all other communities in Pristina. This was the courtyard, and this was the location of the bookshelves. And yes. Unfortunately, the project was not realized, not because it didn't win. It actually did win, but the architect unfortunately passed away, and also the main person that funded the project also passed away very briefly after him. So this project has remained on the shelf until now. Can you please? Thank you. This was another project, but it was an urban project that we did in the vicinity of Pristina. It's called the Kodrina Master Plan. It's basically an entire neighborhood. So it was the biggest project that we had until then for our office, and it was in collaboration with EMBT. So continuing with the theme of collaboration with bigger offices. It was supposed to introduce green and sustainable architecture in Pristina, which is something that we really lack. Yes, so the studio decided to incorporate traditional themes and elements from our city and in general of Kosovo. So it was little cobblestones, parts of the clothing, parts of the food, of the culture, of the traditions that they wanted to incorporate into the master plan, which was something that was relatively unheard of in Pristina because we generally like to just build really fast, really quickly so we can get everything done. Yes, so they incorporated this pattern of these elements into the site, and they wanted to have like a sort of spillover of the green space that was surrounding this area. So the entire master plan was supposed to be at least 60% of green space and public space. Yes, so this was the site plan, and this is how it would have been if it would have been realized, but unfortunately we didn't win. Yes, these are the elements that they chose to incorporate throughout all of the site plan. So little elements that were all locally taken, so it would really go well with the entire site. This is the elevations and the floor plans of the site. and a few collages just so you can kind of understand the feel of it. Yeah, that was also the physical model. And the next project was the Pristina Opera House. This is sort of a disputed project because we had won the first competition. It was located in the center of Pristina, near the sports area. But unfortunately, the mayor changed the location, so now the project has been scrapped and the competition has been redone again. So now we are not clear if we're going to win or not. But the first project was this one in 2019 with MVRDV. It was called the Podium, and it was supposed to introduce the more public space into the area because we had already taken quite a big chunk of it for creating this project. And they wanted to incorporate theater space, social hubs, technology hubs, and also foyer to the location. This was the design diagrams, how they incorporated the building into the site plan. They really wanted to give access very easily because this is a very dense urban area, so it doesn't have a lot of space for it to have access to the building, so they created this sort of terrazzo effect of the building and as a podium, but also in the same time to give public space back to the community. This was the initial concept of the building. And this would have been the final look of the building if it would have been realized. As you can see, it incorporated a lot of green space, something that in the surroundings you can also see that really lacks. So it would have been a great project, but let's see, maybe in the future it will get picked up again. This is the RIT Student Center that we did a collaboration with GAD Architects in 2019. This was our first project that really had a lot of recognition because it won us the Visionary Architecture Awards back in 2021 for our director, Bekim Ramko. And it was supposed to be a student's dorm and a student center next to the University of RIT, so the Rochester Institute of Technology. And it was one of the first buildings in Pristina that incorporated sustainable architecture with photovoltaic panels and also a water collection system. That is something that we never had before, even though we're kind of late to the game, but we're picking up. This is the design approach and also the room typology. It was supposed to be a multi-layered building, so multifunctional. And it was not just supposed to be used by the university, but also other interested companies that could use the space for workshop areas or whatever reason. This is the inside of it. And this is the general look of the building. The Pristina Indoor Sports Hall is the sixth project I want to explain to you. It is a collaboration, again, with the Nota Architects in 2021. It was situated in the main bus station center. So it incorporated the site quite smart because it was a sort of upward spiral that went from the landscape upwards. And also, again, just with green space, now we had a sort of requirement every time we build something that we have to incorporate at least 70 to 80% of green space in every project because it's very necessary due to the dense urban situation of Pristina. And this is the final view of how it would have looked. Unfortunately, we didn't win, so this project remains on the shelf, so to say. These are the elevations and also the final look of the building where you could see also the gathering spaces and the public space that we incorporated into the building. The Hifzi Suleimani Cultural Center was a building that was used as one of the first libraries in Pristina that had also books in Albanian. Due to the conflict that you know, we don't really have a lot of libraries that had those texts during the Yugoslavian time, so this was a very important building. And next to it, there was an adjacent building that was used as a reading room, and the new project and the new concept was supposed to be leaving just as that, as a reading room. This was our own personal project that we did in 2021. This is the diagram of the building, of the site, so you can see the main building, and the one in the purple is the one that we had to design. We also incorporated another adjacent structure, which was reversible, so you could mount it and take it out later. It was a timber structure that I will explain to you later. This is the site plan, where you can see all the layout and the design diagrams of how the space was supposed to be built. This is the common space, which was, of course, again, public. And also the back part where I said there was a timber structure that was reversible was only used for galleries or for artists' wishes. So whoever wanted to expose any exhibition for free could expose it there and just maybe give back to the artists back into our city because they didn't really have a lot of exposure. This is the Gërmia Cultural Center, which in this we a little bit cheated. It's not unbuilt, but it will be built. So it's going to be done next year in the upcoming year. So we will start building in February, hopefully. It is a collaboration that we have with Kengokuma Architects. And the first draft of the competition was in 2021. This was the first version, but I will explain to you now how the project changed throughout time until now. This is the site. It's in the main boulevard or in the main axis of the city of Pristina. So the building before that you see here was a shopping center, which was a very famous building. It was one of the first shopping centers in Pristina, and it has a typical socialist layout, socialist structure, socialist facade. So what they wanted to do for this complex of buildings, because in general there are 4 buildings, they wanted to create this one roof. It's also how it was called, the project, it's one roof, where with this one roof, one timber roof, they would connect all of these complexes and create one big concert hall for Pristina, which we didn't have before, so it would be the first concert hall of our city. This is the diagrams and the layout of the programs. It will be a multi-program building, so it would house museums, exhibitions, workshops, ateliers, whatever you can think of, name it, it's in this building. This was also the approach in connecting the old and the new. So this roof basically would have to be something so different that you could blatantly tell it was new, because we don't want to blur the line between what's new architecture and old architecture. So we really wanted to have an emphasis on the materials and the language of the architecture so you can blatantly see it. This is the inside. So the inside of the building, also we chose this image to show you these are the first escalators that we ever had in Pristina. So we maintained the same escalators, and the building was supposed to be stripped bare. So whatever exhibition would be held there would really shine through in this building. And this is the main concert hall, which is supposed to house 1,300 seats, which is to date also the biggest concert hall in our region. This is the main entrance, which connects to the main city boulevard. And as I told you, see, the language is very typical for Kengokuma, so the timber and the roof structure. But is also like our pride and joy, because this is something that is very new for Pristina, and we would love to see it realized just in this way. And this is the back of the concert hall. So the concert hall was too big to fit in the original plan, so we had to demolish a part of the building. This decision didn't really come easy, but we made it considering that the building had gone through so many changes in the last 20 years. So that part that was mostly changed, we decided to demolish and create space for the new concert hall. And this is the general view. We also incorporated public space on top of the roofs, so everything is usable. And it could be used either as a hanging out area for visitors or anyone else. This is the physical model. And the last project I will explain to you today is PH House. This is our own in-house project done in 2023. We had a commission from an artist called Petrit Halilay, and he wanted to create this sort of building that would house a few spaces, but mainly would serve as an atelier for him. So the building is this one. It's adjacent to his own house. So he wanted to incorporate one bedroom and also the main gallery, which is in the ground floor, which would serve for exhibition purposes. So we created this draped curtain that is very theater-like, so that he could hide all of the light and use it however he pleases. And he really made the big point of creating a birdhouse, because he's fascinated by birds. So we created a small birdhouse that serves also as a room, and partially as a guest room for his friends or his partner, whoever wanted to crash there. This is how the birdhouse would have looked, and also the inside, which is very contrary to his very eccentric persona. He wanted a very bare building. Inside, it should have been just concrete, timber, and metal. So that is how we kept it. This is the inside. Basically, he was free here to express himself however he wanted it, without being maybe like affected by the building inside. So yes, this is my last project. Thank you for your attention, and I'm glad for any questions or anything you want later on. Thank you.